Hello to all the caretakers. You guys have an important day coming up on 24th of November. In this quick video, I wanted to talk about some pre-examination drills. Wanted to share some D-Day strategies with respect to VARC, LRDI and QA section. And also wanted to comment a bit on what you should be doing post your CAT exam. So first things first, reach your examination center well before time. You do not want anything to add to your anxiety levels on the day of the exam. Look up the location on Google Map and reach before time. Wear something which is extremely comfortable on the day of the exam. You're not going there to impress anyone. If you have a lucky outfit which gives you a sense of confidence or good luck, go for that outfit. On the day of the exam, prefer not to drive or ride on your own. You do not want to spend your energy in driving or riding. Rather, take a cab or a public transport, or better, ask someone to drop you to the examination hall. You do not want to do anything which creates unwanted problems for you. Let's say you're driving or riding on your own, and let's say a flat tire occurs, or let's say your vehicle breaks down. You should not be dealing with those problems on the day of the exam. So better to avoid it completely. Now, coming to water. Water is very important while you are taking the exam. See, when you're solving a very difficult LRDI set or a difficult quant problem, let's say after when you're tired, after let's say you're done with your VRC section, let's say you go to LRDI section and you are in the middle of a very difficult LRDI set, you're brainstorming and you're tired. A quick sip of water will do a great deal to you. It can replenish you. It can give you that necessary oxygen for that set. So we need to carry a water bottle to the examination hall. Now there can be two possibilities. The examination center might allow you to carry the water bottle, or it might not allow you to carry the water bottle. If it allows you to carry the water bottle, no problems. But if it does not, then I'm asking you to sneak in a small water bottle. Don't carry a 1 liter water bottle or a 2 liter water bottle. Carry a small 200 ml or 250 ml sized water bottle, which can be easily sneaked in. You can just put it in your pockets and you can take it in. And even if they catch you with that water bottle, no one is going to throw you out of the examination center because of a water bottle. So it's very, very harmless. But again, if you carry that water bottle into the examination hall, whenever you feel tired, take a quick sip. It will help you. Now, with respect to admit card, carry multiple copies of it. Obviously, follow all the instructions which are present on the admit card. But again, the reason I am asking you to carry multiple copies of admit card because we want to have good quality paper for rough work. So when you take a printout of the admit card, usually the back portion of the admit card will be completely blank. And you'll be taking multiple copies of it. So you'll be having multiple pages which are blank, and that can be used for rough work. I seriously doubt the quality of rough work that they will provide in the examination hall. And we are not even sure whether this year they will provide sheets of paper or they'll provide you a writing tablet. So just to avoid any kind of unwanted situations and to keep things in our favor, carry your own rough sheets of paper. And no one is going to stop you from carrying admit card copies. On the day of the exam, a day before the exam, please avoid any kind of arguments, any kind of fights with anyone, be it your boyfriend or girlfriend or your parents or relatives or your friends. Avoid any kind of arguments. Avoid anything which drains out positive energy out of you. You need to stay extremely positive. Please do not be a part of any arguments or fights. It's very, very important. It can ruin months and months of hard work. On the day of the exam, carry an energy bar with you and have it just before you enter into the main examination hall. Don't eat it after you reach the examination center. Eat it before you enter into the examination hall. What it will do is it will give you the right amount of energy when you need it. When you go to the examination center, we usually have a habit of talking to strangers, discussing preparation, discussing exams, discussing cutoffs, and what all. Don't gossip. It will drain out energy out of you. See, examination is already a pressure environment for you. You are going to be in an energy expenditure state. Why are you spending further energy by gossiping unnecessarily? Gossip as much as you want after the exam is done, but don't do it before the exam. You need to stay undiverted, unfazed before the exam. For the same purpose, for staying undiverted, what you can do is just before the examination starts, 2 minutes before the examination starts, what you can do is you can just close your eyes and you can do quick meditation. Just breathe in and breathe out and focus on your breathing for 2 minutes. See, even if you're not a believer in meditation, even if you're doing for the first time, do it for the sake of it. If the 2 minutes of doing breathe in, breathe out, and focusing on breathing, if it keep helps you keeping calm for the next 2 hours, it's worth taking that shot, right? It's worth doing it for 2 minutes, even if you don't believe in it. So I hope you'll follow all these pointers. Hopefully, it will help you. Now, let's talk about the attempt strategies for VARC, LRDI, and the QA section. Now, normally I give multiple strategies to my students so that they can experiment with those strategies and then they can come up with a final strategy. But in this particular video, I'm going to give out one strategy for each of the three sections. The strategies which I'm going to give you, they are going to be very, very safe and will be helpful for majority of the students. So let's talk about how will you run through the 40 minutes of your VARC paper. First minute, you have two objectives. Find the first RC and locate all the VA questions. And for this purpose, you're going to use the View Question Paper tab. So there's a View Question Paper tab on your interface. Click on that. The entire question paper will come up on your screen. Use that to find the first RC and to locate all the VA questions. Now, when I say VA questions, I'm talking about the para structure questions which come in your paper. The para essence summary questions, the para completion questions, the dangler questions or out of context line questions. So I'm talking about those questions. I'm calling them VA questions. Okay. Now, in the first minute, you're not going to do anything else. You're not going to do any solving. Your goal is to find the first RC. Okay. For finding the first RC, you can apply some filters. Those filters can come out of your learning experience. The filter could be the length of the RC, the genre of the RC, the number of questions in the RC, the type of questions in the RC. Let's say if the RC set has more number of explicit detailed questions, you go for that RC first. Let's say the RC set has more number of extrapolation questions, you keep that RC for the last. If an RC has 6 questions and there's an RC which has got 4 questions, you can pick up the RC which has more number of questions, because on the same hard work, that is reading of one passage, you are getting the opportunity to solve 6 questions when compared to getting the opportunity to solve 4 questions. So obviously, you will use the opportunity where you have more scope. You're going to get more marks out of one action of reading one complete RC. So again, use those filters to pick up your first RC. Once you pick up your first RC, you'll solve that RC. That will be the first thing that you'll solve in the paper. I'm not recommending you to start your paper with solving parastructure or VA questions. I have seen a lot of videos where people recommend to start with verbal ability or parastructure questions. I'm not a fan of those ideas. I'll tell you why. See, VA questions or parastructure questions are going to be based on paragraphs. So the questions will have 4 to 5 lines. So it's not going to be a lot of reading for you. It's going to be a quick read per question, a 45-second read or a 1 minute read per question. And these questions do not expect a lot of energy out of you. So why to spend our initial few minutes when our energy is at the highest and we want to create momentum? Why do we want to use those moments for questions which do not deserve any energy? Rather, we should be using our first few minutes for those questions which require a lot of energy expenditure. So, very simple idea. We are just optimizing our energy levels as per the question type. And for that particular reason, I'm advising you to start with the RC first. So, once you have your first RC, you've selected your first RC, give solid 8 minutes for a RC set with 4 questions. If it has 5 questions or 6 questions, accordingly adjust. Then you will take 10 or 12 minutes for that first RC. Have an equal split up, equal time for reading and half time for solving. Okay. So I hope story is clear till now. First minute, find the first RC, locate all the VA questions. Start with the first RC, give 8 minutes or 10 minutes or 12 minutes according to the number of questions in that particular set. After solving the first RC, pick up a category of parastructure or VA questions. It could be para summary, it could be para jumbles, it could be out of context lines, whichever category you are comfortable with, and solve all the questions of that category within the next 3 minutes. So let's say I have chosen out of context lines. So let's say there are 2 to 3 questions in that paper. I'm going to solve those 2 to 3 questions in my 3-minute time limit. So what are we doing here? We have solved one RC and we have solved a category of VA questions. First of all, I'm solving the category of VA questions which I am more comfortable with. And number two, these VA questions will act as a breathing space between my first RC and the upcoming second RC. So after we are done with this, you will take up your second RC. You again spend 8 to 10 minutes on it, depending on the number of questions. After the second RC, immediately follow it up with the third RC. Again, take 10 minutes for it. After all this, you will be having 10 minutes. Now, in this 10 minutes, you can either go for the fourth RC or you can go for the remaining VA questions, depending on your comfort levels. If you're comfortable with the VA questions, go for it. If you are a believer of solving more RCs, go for the fourth RC. With this strategy, you will be attempting 3 RCs properly. You'll be solving easy VA questions or questions which are in your comfort zone properly. And also will give you the opportunity to choose between the fourth RC and the remaining VA questions. So it's a very well optimized strategy that should suit most of these students. And this will take care of any kind of paper also. I hope this is clear. Now coming to the LRDI section. See, LRDI section will have sets, right? The sets will expect brainstorming out of you, right? You're expected to be a good reader. You're expected to be someone who can connect the dots really well. See, any LRDI set in CAT, it expects 8 to 10 reactions from you. It expects 8 to 10 inferences from you. Every set will expect that out of you. If you can manage those 8 to 10 reactions in a timely fashion, in an ordered fashion, the set will break apart. I mean, you will crack the set. So it's all about being in the moment, being a good reader, being a good analyst, inferencing the right way, connecting the dots the right way. If you do all this the right way, the sets will fall apart. Okay. But the entire strategy of LRDI attempt in the CAT paper will center around the first set. It's very important to find the easiest set as the first set. You should be a very good judge about it. Okay. So what I would suggest is first spend the initial 2 minutes on finding the first set. View question paper tab. Have the question paper in front of you. Look at the sets. There are limited number of sets in the paper, right? You'll be having 4 sets, 5 sets, right? So there is limited number of stories to deal with, right? So out of the 5 stories that you have, go for the story that you find comfortable with. So you can apply your filters for the first set, right? It could be familiarity, could be less number of conditional questions in the set, could be length of the set. Apply your own filters, which I'm sure you must be having some idea about because of your prior experience. You would have taken some mocks, you would have prepared for LRDI. So I'm hoping that your judgment game is strong. If your judgment game is strong, it should not be difficult to find the easiest set out of all the given sets. And we want that easiest set to be our first set. If we can manage that first set, we are sorted for the LRDI section. So again, I'm telling you again, the center point of the strategy is on finding the first set. And that's the reason we are spending the first 2 minutes not doing reading or solving, rather finding the first set. Once the first set is selected, okay, commit to that set. Keep a timer of dedicated 12 minutes for the set and give your best shot at cracking it. Commit to it, read really well, make the right reactions, make the right inferences. Hopefully the set, you will get it all right. After the first set is done, by this time you would have spent 14 minutes, 2 minutes for picking up the first set and 12 minutes for solving the first set, hopefully the easiest set of the paper. Again, take a break. 15th minute, again go to view question paper, tab, click on it. The question paper will be in front of you. Again, spend a minute to find the second set. This time, after finding the second set, put a timer of 15 minutes. Give more time to it because you're calling it the second set. In your eyes, it is not the easiest set. So you have to spend more time to it. Give more time for it. So spend 15 minutes for the second set. If the set turns out to be easier, good. You will be able to solve it in, let's say, 10 minutes or 12 minutes. But give 15 minutes for it. Okay. At this mark, at the 30th minute mark, you would be done with two sets properly, right? And you have scanned the paper also. Now, use the remaining 10 minutes that you have, 10-15 minutes that you have on the other sets. Okay. It's not important that you solve one complete set. It's all about maximizing your score in the last 10-15 minutes. If somehow you can gain raw score of 2 to 4 more questions, that will increase your percentile in a drastic way. So basically, the strategy is all about doing two sets properly and then finding some bounty questions in the third set or solving the third set completely. Be very flexible in this section. Okay. One advice which I would give you is with respect to the rough work. Keep your rough work very organized. Rather, keep dedicated rough work for every set. I mean, pre-decide this space is for set 1, this space is for set 2, this space is for set 3, this space is for set 4. Have dedicated space for rough work. Because if things don't go your way, in LRDI, you will have to jump from one set to the other set. And if your rough work is not organized, you'll have to restart on that particular set. So we don't want that to happen. So if your rough work is organized, if you know where the rough work is for that particular set, you can always go back to that point where you stopped and you can resume from that point. Okay. And please make sure that there's not a lot of idle time while you're solving sets. Many a time what happens while solving an LRDI set, we fail to realize that we have not done nothing, we have not written anything for the first 6 minutes. That should not be the case. There should not be a lot of idle time. See, 2 to 3 minutes of idle time while reading is absolutely okay because you're actually into the set. You're trying to find the loose ends of the set so that the set falls apart. But in that process, the time should not exceed 6-7 minutes. That's too much. That's a good indicator that you're not going to solve that set. Okay. So the entire LRDI strategy centers on finding the first set. If you find the first set, if you get done within 12 minutes, I'm very sure you'll be able to do the second set as well. And if you're good enough, you will be able to do the third set as well. If not the complete set, you'll be able to knock off few questions of the third set. So I hope the strategy is clearly understood. Now, coming to the third section, which is the QA section. Now, please understand, by the time you reach the QA section, you would be tired. You have already done the VARC section. You have read RCs. You've done a lot of reading. You have done the LRDI section. You've done a lot of brainstorming. Now you're tired. Whether you accept it or not, you are tired. Okay. So keep that in mind that fatigue will trigger some mistakes. Okay. So be conscious of that fact. Now, what I would suggest in quants, I would expect you to run a round from first to the last question. And in that round, find all the arithmetic questions first. See, arithmetic questions will be present in plenty. The volume of arithmetic questions will be on the higher side in the paper, right? So it will be easier to find arithmetic questions when you're taking that first round. Apply a rule of 2n timer. What is the meaning of 2n timer? If there are n arithmetic questions, you apply a timer of 2n minutes. Let's say there are 8 arithmetic questions. You have a timer of 16 minutes. So this is the 16 minutes for the 8 arithmetic questions which are there in the paper. Use it any way you want. Ignore the super difficult questions. Keep on flagging them so that you don't solve them. But 16 minutes for arithmetic questions, for 8 arithmetic questions. If there are 7 arithmetic questions, 14 minutes. Wrap up the arithmetic section. Number 1, you will be solving arithmetic first. Number 2, while finding the arithmetic questions, you will also be doing a quick scan of the paper. Right? And the whole point is not to spend time on difficult questions. The questions which you feel are not in your comfort zone, you should not be spending a lot of time there. Rather, you should be spending zero time on those questions. If you can leave the question that you are supposed to leave really fast, you'll be ahead of others. So after this round of arithmetic, you go for your second round. Now, the second round will start from the last question to the first question. And this time you can choose between the choice of your section. It can be algebra, it can be geometry, or it could be numbers and permutations, combinations, probability together. Now, here also, what your goal is to solve 5 questions in 10 minutes. Okay. So you will have 4 to 5 questions of algebra for sure. You will have 4 to 5 questions of geometry in the paper. You will have 4 to 5 questions based on numbers and PNC probability together in the paper, right? So the goal is to solve 5 questions in the next 10 minutes. That's the goal here. Okay. Now with these 2 rounds, what you have achieved is you have done the scan of the paper twice. Once, first question to last question, then last question to first question. With this scanning of the paper, now you are ready for any shocks and surprises in the paper. You also have a feel of the paper. So use the maturity and the knowledge of the previous 25 odd minutes to utilize the next 15 minutes in a way that you maximize your score. Now, if you have observed, here the strategy is based on solving questions of one section together. When we are doing arithmetic, we are just doing arithmetic. When we are doing algebra, we are just doing algebra. And at the end, we are mixing things up. So in the first 2 rounds, we are not mixing things up. And the reason is very, very simple. See, when you're solving arithmetic questions, we want to be in that arithmetic bent of mind. Why would you want to solve an arithmetic question and the next question you want to go to geometry ideas? You want to think about PNC ideas in the next question. We don't want these jumps. You want to be in that same bent of mind. And that will only happen if you stay in that arithmetic zone. You stay in that ratio, percentage, average zone. Once you are solving geometry, you want to be in the triangle, circle, quadrilateral zone. Once you are doing PNC, you want to be in that factorial, NPR, NCR, arrangement, dearrangement, rearrangement, distribution. You want to be in that zone. So the strategy centers around that, right? And you will be having 22 questions to be solved in 40 minutes. But let's say you're anyways going to leave 2 questions. Anyways, there will be 2 questions which you won't be able to solve. So in your head, do a mindset shift and treat the paper as a paper having 20 questions to be solved in 40 minutes. That makes the time per question to be of 2 minutes. That gives you sense of time. Okay. If the paper is tough, you'll be solving less questions. If the paper is easy, you'll be solving more questions. This strategy keeps you ready for any kind of paper. And as I have told you before, also be very, very flexible with your strategies. I mean, you should be able to quickly adapt to any changes in the paper. That's why never go with a fixed mindset that I have to solve only these many questions. I have to solve only 4 questions or 5 questions or 6 questions. Don't go with that mindset. Go with the feel of the paper. If the paper you find it to be easy, you'll have to solve more questions. And this strategy caters to that. I hope you have understood this. So I hope these attempt strategies for the 3 sections will help you. After the paper, if you feel that the paper does not go your way, please do not get disheartened. Do not lose hope. This is just one exam. There are other milestones waiting for you. Pep yourself up for the targets ahead. Gear yourself up for the next set of exams. Forget what has happened in the paper and set up for the next exam really well. Level up. Post-exam, next day, it's a new day. It's a new goal for you. Gear up for the upcoming exams. Introspect what happened in the CAT paper to better fight exam pressure in the next exam. Do not engage in discussions related to cutoffs and slot-based comparisons and whatnot. Focus on controllables, focus on actionables. Be very, very practical about things. Most non-serious folks will engage in nonsensical discussions about the CAT paper. They will crib, they will cry, they will blame that the paper is difficult. This slot was more difficult. That slot was easier. Things are unbiased, whatnot. Don't be that person. These people will ignore their own faults and mistakes and they'll rather play a blame game. Don't be one of them. Be honest with yourself, introspect the right way, and gear up for the next target. That is what you can do. And that is what is under your control. And that is what you should be doing. Having said all this, I wish you all the best. I hope you perform really well in the exam. I hope everything goes the right way in the paper for you. May the force be with you. All the best. Good luck. And once the exam is done, forget about the exam. Get started with the new target. Focus on the new target and go at it. Commit yourself to it and go at it. Again, all the best.